Alright everybody, welcome back. We're back in Flight Simulator in the 737-700. Gonna do another flight for the VA. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a virtual airline that I fly for, which is Southwest Virtual. If you want to join, you just go to virtualswa.com and you can sign up. We'd love to have you be a part of the virtual airline. So today we are going to do 3 legs. We're going to do the whole day. So we have 3 flights. The first flight we're going to be going from Louisville down to Midway. So Kentucky to Illinois. Yesterday, the flight the last video that I posted, I forgot where we landed in Baltimore, BWI. And we had to deadhead here to Louisville. I did not do that flight because, like, from Baltimore to Louisville, because that was a deadhead, and our VA does not do deadheads. So that's why we're sitting in Louisville right now. So we're going to be going from Louisville to Midway. Should take us about an hour and 20 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and start doing the boarding. So our satisfaction doesn't go down. So we are going to go ahead and open the door, and we are going to go ahead and start boarding. Everything should be automated for us except for, I think, the music. So we'll go ahead and turn that on. Wi-Fi is not going to work right now, so I'm not worried about that. Let's go ahead and look at the cargo stuff, and we have about 7 minutes until the cargo is done being loaded. Try to get out here on time. Departure, we got about 25 minutes, or 24 about. So we're going to go ahead and finish a few things here in the cockpit, do a few tests as well. Let me click on the simulator. There we go. Alright. So, try to do all this as quick as possible so we can get out of here. I'm going to record scenes from the each flight. I don't know if I'm going to do, like the same thing for each flight, but we'll do something for all 3 of the flights that we're going to fly today. We're going to do a couple tests right quick to make sure everything is good to go. TCAS is good. Fire bottles are good. Check the cargo. It's good. And GPWS. And we would test the weather radar right quick as well. Alright, so everything's pretty much good. Still got a couple minutes before we're ready to push back. Still got 74 passengers that need to board as well, and there's 61 on the aircraft. Only 10 are secured, so gonna have to wait on that as well. Hopefully we can do a little bit better than we did yesterday, or the last video flight that we did. Alright, so I think the cargo is done being loaded. If I go to the right one. Yes. Cargo is done. Still waiting on the passengers to get on board. We are sitting at 70% satisfied, so that's pretty good. So hopefully we can keep that up. So once everybody's on board, I will come back to you guys. I'm not gonna make you guys sit through watching the boarding process. It's gonna take a little while. All right, all passengers are on board. Our cargo is on board as well. So we are good to go. So we're gonna be pushing here in a couple minutes. All right, so we're gonna tell the flight attendants to go ahead and arm the doors. Still waiting some passengers to get seated. Are secured, excuse me. Still have 4 of them that needs to be secured. Once that happens, then we'll be able to push back. Alright, so we are ready to go. Everybody is seated, so we are going to go ahead and start our pushback. Alright, 25% on number 2. We go ahead and introduce the fuel. Shouldn't be a bad taxi. We're just going to go around the corner here to the right and take Bravo all the way down to 35 left. And we're going to try to get the flight attendants to sit down a little earlier this time so we don't have to wait on them like we had to do on the last flight. Let's go ahead and get the flight attendants to sit down. And they will give us 2 dings whenever they're secured in their seats. So you don't even have to bring self-loading cargo menu back up. Alright, let's bring it up to 40. Toga. So we just had the captain do his cruise announcement. We caught a little bit of the end of it there. Let's look at self-loading cargo, see what we're at right now. We're sitting at 75% satisfied. Let's turn the music off. That's probably one problem. I need to go into the settings and make sure this is turn the Wi-Fi on too. I don't know why that's not. Alright. Go into the settings, make sure the music comes off by itself, and make sure that the Wi-Fi comes on as well by itself. So I just wanted to come back and give you guys an update that we're still descending into Midway, but I just want to show you that we are painting now, but we are going to miss all of this, I think, hopefully. But if we have any craziness, I'll come back. Alright, so we got into some turbulence because of this weather. We haven't run into any. We haven't flown in close to any of it. We haven't flown close to any of it yet, but some of these clouds have had turbulence. So I went and did the turbulence option from self-loading cargo and turn the seatbelt sign on, which it should have already been on, which it was because we were descending. I guess that's just how the developer programmed the announcement to say, to put your seatbelts on and stuff like that. But our satisfaction kind of went down because of that. I think we haven't had any other bumps since I turned it on, but I'm not going to do anything else to like tell them that there's no more turbulence or something like that, because we're quite a bit of clouds and got some weather off to the left of us, so we should be good right now. But once we get on final, I'll come back to you guys. Hopefully there's nothing else that I had to come back and record to show you before we get on final. Getting rocked a little bit now. We had a big one just before I hit record. We had a pretty good rock for turbulence, so our satisfaction is probably going down. But I mean, I can't do nothing about that. Can't depict when you're gonna hit the turbulence. I mean, we can go on aviationweather.gov and look at where the turbulence is, but it's gonna be there when you fly in that area, or are you gonna hit some unexpected turbulence? So I'm not really worried about that for the satisfaction. So it is what it is. All right, we are on final. We are approaching, what is it, 004 right for midway. And we're going to go ahead and go stare at cockpit until we get on the ground. Alright, let's go ahead and shut these things down. Let's go ahead and get them deboarded. Had another rough landing, but the G wasn't that bad. Alright, so we are starting our second leg. for the day. This one we are going to Dallas. This is going to take approximately 2 hours and 30. We'll stop right here. We'll get the make sure both the engines have a good start and begin our taxi. Once we are at the runway ready for departure, I will come back to you guys. Alright, so we're at cruise on our second flight on the way to Dallas. Found some aviation facts that I thought I would read to you guys for this flight for the cruise. And then the last, I guess, recording that I do for this is when we're on final. I'm trying not to make this video long. The other video that I just put out, that was way longer than I wanted it to be, and this was going to be long too, just because I'm doing 3 flights and recording all 3 of them. So we're not going to do too much filming of this flight and doing the descent and stuff. It'll be this cruise and then the final. Alright, so number 1, in 1919, KLM, the Royal Dutch Airlines, is the world's oldest airline established in 1919. And all these facts, some of them, if you're an aviation enthusiast, then you know some of this stuff is not correct. And if you watch any of the big major YouTube pilots, you will already know some of this stuff isn't right. But all this is from 2018, so it's not taking nothing into account for COVID or nothing like that. Number 2, Qantas is the world's second oldest airline, established in 1920. And in 1987, American Airlines saved $40,000 by removing 1 olive from each salad served in first class. It's crazy. Number 4, an aircraft takes off and lands every 37 seconds at O'Hare International. The wingspan of the A380 is longer than the aircraft itself, which we all pretty much knew that if you're into aviation. I think it's saying that the length is 72.7 meters. Number 6, Singapore Airlines spends approximately $700 million on food every year and $16 million on wine. Traveling by air can shed up to 1.5 liters of water from the body during an average 3-hour flight. JFK Airport was originally named Idlewild Airport. Lufthansa is the world's largest purchaser of caviar, buying over 10 tons per year. The Boeing 747 wingspan is 195 feet. Is longer than the Wright brothers' first flight, which was 120 feet. Alaska Airlines was the first airline in 1999 to introduce online check-in. The winglets on an Airbus A330-200 are the same height as the world's tallest man, 2.4 meters. Let's see. Total electricity capacity of a 747-8 can power up to 480,000 32-inch flat screen TVs. The worldwide 747 fleet has logged more than 78 billion kilometers, equivalent to 101,500 trips to the moon and back. The 747 family has flown more than 5.6 billion people, equivalent to 80% of the world's population. At any given hour, there are over 61,000 people airborne over the USA, which again, this is from 2018, so COVID wasn't a thing. 70% of aircraft today are over 70% more fuel efficient per seat than jets in the 1960s. Qantas invented business class in 1979. Qatar Airways is the world's longest flight, or has the world's longest flight, by a distance of 14,525 kilometers. By American Airlines switching a pilot's paper manuals to iPad, they will save 1.2 million in fuel. The average 747 has between 240 to 280 kilometers of wiring. In the USA, over 2 million passengers board over 30,000 flights each day. And this is the one that, if you're into aviation, then you'll take this with a grain of salt. Pilots and co-pilots are required to eat different meals in case of food poisoning. About 1/3 of your taste buds are numbed while flying, so maybe the food isn't that bland as we all think, if that's a true statement. Last one, a commercial aircraft flies at an average speed of 800 kilometers per hour. Alright, so that's going to do it for the facts. Hope you enjoyed that little spiel. We are going to come back once we are on final into Dallas. Alright, runway is in sight. We're on the glide slope. It hasn't kicked in yet, but we're on approach mode. We can see the runway, so we will continue. And we'll take over at about 700 feet above. Alright, runway's out of sight. We'll take it if we can see that minimum. All right, that was definitely a close one. I should have did a go around, but I let the autopilot and the glide slope take the aircraft down, and able to see it at about 300 feet, 350, 300 feet. So set parking brake. Needless to say, our passengers are not happy. They wasn't happy for the whole flight. It's it's a pretty bad flight, according to self-loading cargo. We got an hour before our next flight, which we arrived here early, like super early, like uh, 20 minutes, maybe 15, 20 minutes early. Um, so hopefully this weather will pass and we won't have to encounter that on our way to Kansas City. And I knew we were gonna hit some weather coming here. I just didn't think it was gonna be this bad. Got quite a bit of red. All right, so we are loading up for the last flight of the day, leg 3, and I am ecstatic. It's been a long day so far. The weather, yeah, we're gonna have a tough time getting out of here. I don't. We're probably gonna have to go around. Probably have to go off course a little bit to get around some weather. Try to get up to cruising altitude to get above this stuff. Um, I don't think I'm going to show the taxi this time. I'm not even sure about the takeoff because the video is already long enough. So it might just be once we pass 10,000, get to cruise, and then once we get on final for the destination in Kansas City, and then the taxi, and that should be it for the sake of time. We are, of course, departed from Dallas, and we are headed to Kansas City. The flight is scheduled for an hour and 45 minutes. The first flight that we did, it was an hour and 20 minutes. The second flight was 2 hours and 30 minutes, and we actually arrived a little early for that second flight. Um, so it's about we the total time for flying is probably about 5 hours, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, something like that. But with the time in between each flight, it's about an 8 hour work day. So uh, it's been alright so far. But once we can get past this weather, it should be smooth sailing from there. But once we get up in the air, I will come back to you guys. Alright, so we have made it to our final destination for the day here in Kansas City. We did a total of 3 legs. And again, I'm going to have to play with self-loading cargo to see how to sustain a good percent of satisfaction, because this flight also had a bad satisfaction rate. The first flight that we did today, it went pretty amazing, but once we started hitting the weather, once we got to Midway and then to Dallas and left Dallas to come here to Kansas City, it's when the satisfaction rate started to go down. So I'm going to play with it and see what we can do better to keep that satisfaction rate up. But we are going to go ahead and get our ground power set so we can shut down these engines. And we actually had a way better landing too. This one was our best landing, I would say, that we had out of all 3 legs. Alright, so let's start offboarding passengers. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch the video. As always, I appreciate it. And until next time, you guys have a good one, and I will see you in the skies next time.